Have you ever tried arguing with someone only to realize the more you talk, the more stuck they become in their own world? You know the type, the ones who argue not to find truth, but to prove they're right. Today, I want to share a powerful lesson from Alan Watts that could change how you handle these moments forever. Alan Watts once said, "You cannot reason a person out of a position they didn't reason themselves into." Think about that. Arguing with a fool is like trying to empty the ocean with a bucket. You'll only exhaust yourself. Energy wasted, time lost, frustration gained. So what should you do instead? Silence is your superpower. Step back, observe, respond with calm, not conflict. Sometimes the greatest wisdom lies not in convincing someone, but in choosing not to engage in their chaos. Focus on your growth, your peace, and your path. Remember, life is too short to get trapped in endless debates that go nowhere. Protect your energy. Learn when to speak and when to simply let it be. That's not giving up, that's being smart, that's being unstoppable. Next time you face a fool, don't argue. Do this instead, breathe, step back, and keep your focus on what truly matters, your life, your growth, and your happiness. Have you ever found yourself in a heated argument with someone who just refuses to see reason? Maybe it started as a simple discussion, an exchange of ideas, but before you knew it, emotions ran high, voices rose, and frustration took over. You might have walked away feeling drained, confused, or even angry at yourself for getting involved. The truth is, arguing with a fool is one of the most exhausting and fruitless exercises a person can undertake. It's not just a matter of losing the argument. It's about losing your energy, your focus, and sometimes even your peace of mind. When we try to reason with someone who is unwilling to listen, we often forget an essential fact. Some people argue not to find the truth, but simply to prove themselves right. Their goal isn't understanding, it's victory. And no matter how logical, calm, or convincing you are, you cannot force someone to see a perspective they are not open to. This is where the problem lies. You invest time, effort, and emotional energy into convincing them, but the return is almost always zero. You walk away depleted, while they remain unchanged, satisfied with their perceived win. Energy is one of the most precious resources we have, yet many of us give it away freely in situations that yield no benefit. When you argue with a fool, you are essentially giving them your energy for free, like lighting a candle only to have someone blow it out repeatedly. The more you try to convince them, the more they resist, and the more frustrated you become. It becomes a cycle of give and take. But in this case, the fool takes, and you give, leaving you with nothing but exhaustion. Over time, these experiences accumulate, creating stress, anxiety, and a sense of futility. It's important to understand that not all disagreements are meant to be solved through debate. Wisdom lies in recognizing which battles are worth fighting and which are not. Arguing with someone who cannot or will not see your point is a battle you cannot win. You may think that persistence will eventually break through their stubbornness, but more often than not, persistence only strengthens their resistance. The fool digs their heels in deeper, and your energy drains faster. No amount of logic, facts, or reasoning can change a mindset that is close to growth. Another aspect to consider is the emotional toll. Arguments with fools often trigger strong emotions like anger, frustration, and impatience. When you are emotionally charged, your ability to think clearly diminishes. You may say things you don't mean or make decisions impulsively, all because you have allowed yourself to be drawn into a pointless struggle. The fool thrives on this reaction, consciously or unconsciously, because it validates their need to dominate the conversation. Meanwhile, you are left carrying the weight of unnecessary stress and tension, which could have been avoided entirely. Even beyond the personal impact, arguing with a fool can affect your relationships and reputation. If you constantly engage in fruitless arguments, people may start perceiving you as reactive, easily provoked, or lacking control over your emotions. On the other hand, those who know the value of conserving energy understand that stepping back, listening, and responding thoughtfully demonstrates strength, wisdom, and maturity. Choosing not to engage doesn't mean weakness. It means you are prioritizing your energy and mental clarity over ego and pointless conflict. It's also worth reflecting on the bigger picture. Life is full of challenges, responsibilities, and opportunities that demand your focus and energy. Every minute spent arguing with someone who refuses to see reason is a minute taken away from your growth, your goals, and your happiness. Your energy is finite. You cannot afford to waste it on battles that yield no progress. By recognizing when an argument is futile, you free yourself to invest your energy where it truly matters, in your work, your passions, and your personal development. Understanding this concept is not easy because human nature often drives us to prove ourselves right. It's tempting to correct someone, to defend your ideas, or to fight for the truth. But the lesson here is that some truths are not meant to be forced on others. Wisdom is in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to engage and when to walk away. Protecting your energy is not about giving up, it's about choosing to rise above the noise, to maintain your focus, and to preserve your inner peace. In a world that constantly demands our attention, reacts to every stimulus, and thrives on noise, the power of silence is often underestimated. Many people rush to respond, to argue, or to make their voices heard, believing that speaking more or reacting faster demonstrates strength. But true power often lies in the opposite, in silence and calm. Choosing not to react immediately, choosing to pause before responding, is one of the most underrated strategies for maintaining control over your life, your energy, and your emotions. Silence is not emptiness. It is a tool, a form of strength that allows you to observe before you act, to think before you speak, and to respond with intention rather than impulse. When you remain silent in the face of chaos, confusion, or conflict, you are taking control of the situation in a subtle but powerful way. You are no longer a participant in the emotional turbulence created by others. Instead, you become a calm observer who can navigate the storm with clarity. Calmness works in a similar way. It is not simply the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. When you remain calm under pressure, you send a signal to others and to yourself that you are unshaken, unhurried, and unbound by the immediate chaos around you. Calmness allows you to think clearly, make better decisions, and protect your energy from unnecessary depletion. Those who react impulsively or emotionally often find themselves exhausted, overwhelmed, and trapped in situations that could have been handled with ease if approached with calm and patience. One of the most important aspects of using silence and calm as tools is understanding their effect on others. People who thrive on conflict, argument, or drama often rely on your reactions to fuel their behavior. Your anger, frustration, or hasty response becomes their energy. By responding with silence and calm instead, you remove the fuel for their fire. Without your reactive energy to feed on, the intensity of their behavior diminishes. You are no longer participating in their chaos, and in doing so, you maintain your own inner balance. Silence also creates space for reflection and insight. When you take a step back from the noise, you give yourself time to consider multiple perspectives, to understand the deeper reasons behind actions or words, and to plan your response in a measured way. In moments of conflict, this pause can be invaluable. It allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react instinctively. A calm, well-chosen word can achieve more than 100 hasty arguments, and a quiet presence often speaks louder than constant speech. Furthermore, silence and calm are tools for self-protection. In any disagreement or confrontation, emotions can run high, and impulsive reactions often lead to regret. By choosing silence, you protect yourself from saying things that could harm your relationships, your reputation, or your own mental peace. Calmness prevents you from being swept away by temporary emotions and ensures that your energy remains focused on what truly matters. It is a form of self-respect, a way of honoring your own peace while navigating the external chaos with dignity. Silence and calm are also closely linked to the concept of presence. When you are silent, you are fully present in the moment, listening and observing rather than planning your next line or argument. This presence allows you to notice details you might otherwise miss, understand people more deeply, and respond in ways that are appropriate and effective. Calmness enhances this presence, allowing you to maintain composure even when others around you are frantic, angry, or confused. Together, silence and calm give you clarity, insight, and control. It's also important to recognize that using silence and calm does not mean passivity or weakness. On the contrary, it is an active choice, a conscious decision to respond with intention rather than react impulsively. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and the courage to step back when it would be easier to jump in. The more you practice this, the more you realize that silence and calm are not signs of surrender. They are signs of strength, intelligence, and self-mastery. Life is full of people, situations, and events that can distract us from our true path. Some of these distractions come from external chaos, arguments, conflicts, negativity, or the need to prove yourself to others. It is easy to get caught up in this chaos, to respond, react, or try to fix situations that are beyond your control. But the real power lies in shifting your focus away from others' turmoil and turning it inward, toward your own growth, your own progress, and your own peace of mind. When you focus on your growth instead of their chaos, you reclaim your energy, your clarity, and your direction. Many people make the mistake of thinking that engaging with every conflict or argument is necessary. They believe that correcting others, proving them wrong, or getting involved in every situation defines strength or intelligence. In reality, this approach only drains your energy and diverts your attention from the most important project of all, yourself. Every minute spent in someone else's chaos is a minute taken away from your learning, your improvement, and your ability to achieve your goals. Growth requires focus, and focus is impossible when you are constantly pulled into external drama. Focusing on your growth begins with understanding that you cannot control the actions, thoughts, or emotions of others. No matter how much you argue, explain, or reason, some people will continue to act in ways that are irrational, negative, or harmful. Trying to control their chaos is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. It is impossible and exhausting. The smarter approach is to direct your energy toward what you can control: your mindset, your decisions, your skills, and your attitude. This shift in focus turns frustration into motivation and distraction into opportunity. Growth is a personal journey. It requires patience, discipline, and consistent effort. By concentrating on improving yourself, learning new skills, developing emotional intelligence, building healthy habits, and setting clear goals, you create a life that is resilient to the chaos around you. When challenges arise, your focus on growth allows you to respond calmly and strategically rather than react impulsively. The more you invest in your development, the less other people's actions will affect your peace or progress. It is also important to recognize the emotional toll of engaging with chaos. Negative situations, arguments, or toxic people often trigger stress, anger, and anxiety. When you allow yourself to be dragged into these situations, you give away your emotional energy freely. Over time, this can lead to burnout, frustration, and a sense of helplessness. Choosing to focus on your growth instead protects your mental and emotional well-being. It is a conscious decision to invest in yourself rather than squander your energy on things that do not serve your long-term purpose. Another benefit of prioritizing growth over chaos is clarity. When your mind is not cluttered with external noise, you can think clearly, make better decisions, and plan your path strategically. You begin to recognize opportunities that were previously hidden by distractions. You also develop the ability to let go of things that do not matter, to avoid unnecessary arguments, and to maintain your peace in situations that might overwhelm others. Growth requires focus, and focus requires ignoring what is irrelevant, unproductive, or harmful. Focusing on your growth does not mean ignoring responsibility or avoiding difficult conversations. It means choosing which battles are worth fighting and which ones are better left alone. It is about using your energy wisely, understanding that not every argument or conflict deserves your attention. By maintaining this perspective, you protect yourself from being consumed by negativity while simultaneously advancing toward your goals. Growth becomes not just a personal journey, but a shield against external chaos. Finally, focusing on growth over chaos cultivates resilience. Life will always have challenges, and people will always create distractions. But when your focus is on developing yourself, your skills, your mindset, and your character, you become unshakable. External chaos may exist, but it no longer dictates your emotions or actions. You begin to operate from a place of strength, calm, and purpose, and in doing so, you inspire others not through arguments or force, but through your example.